This is Defense News Weekly from Newsgate Television, edition number 18. In one of the most significant development with regard to ongoing defense and strategic cooperation with France, the Indian Navy will get their Rafale fighter jets to operate from both the aircraft carrier ships, and France agreeing to transfer technology for aircraft and helicopter engines. All this happened during the sidelines of this year's Bastille Day celebration in Paris, where in presence of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the marching contingents in parade included columns of the three wings of the Indian Armed Forces. And back home, the Defense Minister presided over a brainstorming session with the private sector players for increased opportunities in the defense manufacturing sector. But first things first. It has been a game changer past week in respect to defense and strategic partnership with India and France when during the historic visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to Paris, it was announced that France has agreed to transfer technology for aircraft and helicopter engines to DRDO. This is beside the Indo-French deal of 26 Rafale fighter jets to operate from India's two aircraft carrier ships, namely INS Vikrant and INS Vikramaditya. Just before the Prime Minister landed in Paris, the Defense Acquisition Council, in its meeting held at the South Block in National Capital, approved various clauses for wide-ranging Indo-French defense deal. This naval version of Rafale is different than that of a land-based French fighter jets. Indian Air Force has already raised 2 squadrons of Rafales. This year marked the 25 years of defense cooperation with France. Bastille Day celebration in Paris, which included marching contingents from Indian Army, Navy and the Air Force.
भारतीय सेना की टुकड़ी का प्रतिनिधित्व पंजाब रेजिमेंट द्वारा किया जा रहा है, जो भारतीय सेना की सबसे पुरानी रेजिमेंट है। इस रेजिमेंट के सैनिकों ने दोनों ही विश्व युद्धों के साथ साथ स्वतंत्रता प्राप्ति के बाद आयोजित अनेक मौकों पर शामिल तमाम सैन्य अभ्यासों और उसमें हिस्सा लिया है। इस समय आप सुन सकते हैं ये धुन, सारे जहां से अच्छा हिंदुस्तान हमारा।
तो इस तरह से आप देख सकते हैं सीधी तस्वीरें, बहुत ही गौरवान्वित पल। और इस तरह से भारतीय दल में जो सेना के 77 मार्चिंग कर्मी हैं और इसमें वुमेन इसमें अगर मैं नेतृत्व की बात करूं तो सेना की टुकड़ी का नेतृत्व कैप्टन अमन जगताप कर रहे हैं, नौसेना की टुकड़ी का नेतृत्व कमांडर व्रत बघेल कर रहे हैं और साथ साथ वायुसेना की टुकड़ी का नेतृत्व स्क्वाड्रन लीडर सिंधु रेड्डी कर रही हैं।
भारतीय सशस्त्र बलों की 269 सदस्यीय तीनों सेनाओं की टुकड़ी का एक तरह से नेतृत्व जो कर रही वो हेलीकॉप्टर पायलट स्क्वाड्रन लीडर सिंधु रेड्डी परेड में भारतीय वायुसेना के मार्चिंग दस्ते का नेतृत्व कर रही हैं।
गौरव के क्षण भारत के लिए, और आप देख सकते हैं प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी और फ्रांसीसी राष्ट्रपति इमैनुअल मैक्रों को।
Also, a batch of Indian Air Force Rafales flew alongside with the French Air Force jets at the flypast during the Bastille Day. On 13th of July 2023, the Defence Acquisition Council, the highest decision-making body in the Defence Ministry, approved the proposal along with other important decision to buy another set of 3 Scorpion submarines for the Indian Navy. According to a statement issued by the Defence Ministry, the DAC meeting presided over by the Defence Minister Rajnath Singh approved 3 proposals. Firstly, a formal acceptance for procurement of 26 Rafale marine aircraft along with associated ancillary equipment, weapons, simulator, spares, documentation and crew training along with logistic support for the Indian Navy from the French government based on the intergovernmental agreement. The price and other terms of purchase will be negotiated with the French government after taking into account all relevant aspects, including the comparative procurement price of similar aircraft by other countries, the MOD statement said. Further, integration of Indian designed equipment and establishment of maintenance, repairs and operation hub for various subsystems will be incorporated into the account documents after due negotiations. The DAC also granted an AON for procurement of 3 additional Scorpion submarines under Buy Indian category, which will be constructed by the Mazgaon Dock Shipbuilders Limited at Mumbai. The procurement of additional submarines with higher indigenous content will not only help in maintaining required force level and operational readiness of the Indian Navy, but also create significant employment opportunities in the domestic sector. It will also help Mazgaon Docks in further enhancing its capability and expertise in submarine construction. For the Bastille Day celebration, the Indian Armed Forces contingent which landed at the French soil had in fact taken a direct flight path with mighty C-17 Globemaster heavy lift aircrafts, while Rafales got help from IL-78 mid-air refuelers. Last week, Ministry of Defence signed a contract with Hindustan Aeronautics Limited for procurement of 2 Dornier aircraft for Indian Coast Guards along with associated engineering support package at an overall cost of Rs 458 crores. The aircraft will be procured under the Buy Indian category. The aircraft will be fitted with a number of advanced equipment such as glass cockpit, marine patrol radar, electro-optic infrared device, mission management system. The addition will further bolster the aerial surveillance capability of maritime areas of the responsibilities which falls under the Coast Guards. The Dornier aircraft are being indigenously manufactured at the Hindustan Aeronautic Limited plant at Kanpur. The 7th edition of bilateral India-Japan maritime exercise, codenamed JIMEX 2023, was hosted by Indian Navy at the port of Visakhapatnam between 5th of July and 10th of July. Incidentally, this year's edition marked the 11th anniversary of JIMEX since its inception in 2012. Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force units under the command of the commander of the Escort Flotilla 1 and the Indian naval ships under the command of the flag officer in charge of the Eastern Fleet were military leaders of their contingents. The Indian side at JIMEX included INS Delhi, India's first indigenously built guided missile destroyer, INS Kamorta, an indigenously designed and built anti-submarine warfare corvette, fleet tanker INS Shakti, a submarine maritime patrol aircraft P-81, and Dornier shipborne helicopters and fighter aircrafts. The Japanese were represented by guided missile destroyer JS Samidare and its integral helicopters. The exercise was conducted over 6 days in 2 phases, a harbour phase at the Visakhapatnam comprising of professional, sports and social interactions, after which the two navies jointly held war-fighting maneuvers at the sea to enhance their interoperability through complex multidiscipline operations in the surface, subsurface and air domains. Having grown in scope and complexity over the years, JIMEX 2023 provided an opportunity to learn from each other's best practices and facilitates operational interactions between Indian Navy and the Japanese Navy to foster mutual cooperation and reaffirm their shared commitment through maritime security in the Indo-Pacific region. Last week, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh presided over a day-long Chintan Shiva organized by the Ministry of Defence in the national capital on July the 6th. It may be recalled that last month, Ministry of Defence, Department of Defence Production, Department of Military Affairs, Department of Ex-Servicemen Welfare and Defence Research and Development Organization had organized separate brainstorming sessions during which they discussed critical issues and ways to enhance their productivity. The themes which were covered during the Chintan Shiva sessions included, among others, cyber security challenges to the national security, comprehensive approach to national security, performance audit Sainik school education system, enhancing production and defense exports, quality reforms, measures to identify and abolish colonial practices and obsolete laws, further incorporate the country's own ethos and practices in functioning of the armed forces, leveraging SPUSH for better pension services and other welfare measures for veterans, resettlement of veterans, improvement in health services of veterans, DRDO Academia partnership opportunities and challenges, and integrating industry with defense R&D. The 7th edition of Explosive Ordinance Disposal Exercise held between Indian Navy and the US Navy was held for 10 days at the port of Kochi. Codename Salvex, the Indo-US exercise culminated on the 6th of July. This unique bilateral exercise had started in 2005. This year's exercise saw participation from both the navies, which included ships INS Nirakshak and United States naval ship Salvor, in addition to the specialist diving and EOD teams. Spanning over 10 days, the diving teams of both the countries share experiences on marine salvage and training through various facets of EOD operations on land as well as at the sea. With this, we come to the end of this edition of Defense News Weekly, powered by NewsGate Television. Keep watching this space for more news from defense and strategic world. Namaskar. Jai Hind.